What's good, y'all? Rich Sosa back in the building with another banger. Now, first things first, before we go ahead and get started, I gotta go ahead and say thank God for another day and another opportunity. Now, as y'all can see from the looks of the title and the screen, today I'm gonna be bringing y'all a very special video. But coming up at number 1 out of the top 3 best game-breaking builds that I'm bringing to y'all today, I'm going to be showing y'all how to create the two-way playmaking sharpshooter build, and we're going to be able to get all of the pro dribble moves as well as contact dunks. Now, before we get any further, look, I just want to say thank you to everybody who did decide to click on this video and support. But with this first build, I'm telling y'all, this is going to be one of the most rare and best point guard builds that you can actually make when it comes down to be a true point guard of 6'4" and under. Now, with this build, we have a lot of potential. We're going to be able to get a 100 plus for the mid-range, 3-point shot, pass accuracy, ball handle, speed with the ball, perimeter defense, as well as our steal. Now, that's really just to start with this build, but as you can see, when it comes down to the actual movement, we're really able to do everything. Now, look, before we get any further, if it's your first time coming through, be sure to hit that sub button if you're new. Go ahead and turn on post notifications to be a part of the Rich family. Smash that like button, but do not forget to comment down TG for thank God, as well as where you're tuning in from watching today, and I will most definitely be sure to hit y'all back with a response. But from here, let's go ahead and get into the breakdown of this build. So everything that's going to go into the actual making of this build, you want to definitely be sure that you follow along. So I'm going to speed the process up of every single build. But as you can see with this one, we're going to make it out of the point guard position. And we are also going to be able to unlock the body shape of Burley. So I'm going to go with the height of 6'3", 235 for my weight with a 6'11" wingspan. Now, once we go ahead and get into the breakdown of all 3 of these builds, remember, after we create them, feel free to make your own adjustments to your own play style. Now, when it comes down to this build, I'm going to go with the 76 speed, 84 acceleration, and these numbers are actually adjustable, which is why I'm showing you them right now. Now, for the vertical, I'm going to go with the 75, 90 stamina. Now, for the finishing, go with an 85 driving dunk, 71 driving layup with a 51 close shot, or you can go up to a 58. Now, we get 15 badges right here, but the main thing about it is I was focused on being able to unlock the posterizer badge on silver. Now, remember, we do have the potential to unlock extra badges towards these builds, just something to take into consideration. Now, with the shooting, I'm going to go with an 88 mid-range, 89 three-pointer, 73 free throw, and right there we get a total of 27 badges. Now, if you want to go about the creation of this build differently in any area, feel free to do so, but I promise you, this is definitely going to be the best way that you can go about the making of all 3 of the builds. Now, when it comes down to the playmaking, you're actually able to recreate this build to get up to a 92 ball handle. I did decide to go with an 88, 86 pass accuracy with an 82 speed with the ball. And right there we get a total of 24 badges. Now remember, everything that I put into this build is specific in order to maintain the build name, but also to equip the animations and attributes that I mentioned earlier. Now, this is what we're going to look like when it comes down to the offensive end, but I promise you, on the defense look, we're definitely going to be able to hold our own. So we get an 87 perimeter defense, 88 steal, and right there we get a total of 20 defensive badges. Now, I really went about this build to be balanced on all 4 areas. That's including with the physicals, but I promise you the takeovers are going to play a much bigger factor with this build. Now, when it comes down to the actual badges that we did unlock, I feel like we have all of the perfect combinations in order to be one of the best well-rounded point guards that I've brought to y'all. Now, like I said with the takeovers, they're going to play a much bigger factor with this build and what we're able to do. So as you can see, we get the shot creating, the sharpshooting, the playmaking, and then the lockdown. So you can go ahead and pick any of the 2 takeovers based on your own playstyle and liking. But in my personal preference, I think Limitless Range first is going to be the more important takeover to pick from. Secondly, I would go with Extreme Clamps, and if you wanted to switch either of these up, I can definitely see why. Let's go ahead and check out the build to make sure that we made it correctly. We should be getting these 3 comparisons, and as y'all can see, we have created at number 1 the two-way playmaking sharpshooter build, and I promise you, this is honestly one of the only point guard builds that I have not seen anybody use or gone up against this year on next gen. Now, as we go ahead and get into the breakdown of build number 2, this is going to be the Victor Wembanyama build, and I'm telling y'all, with what we're able to do at the height of what I'm creating this build to be, literally we're able to post up, dribble, shoot from deep, as well as be able to play elite defense on top of the perimeter, but also down low. Now, this is definitely my favorite and tallest build that I've created this year. Now, the reason why I did go ahead and put this build at number 2 is because I have not seen too many people stay true to the center position, so I had to go ahead and be sure that I'm bringing y'all one of the most versatile big man builds that you're going to be seeing this year on next gen as well as current. And that's also going to be the special thing about all 3 of these builds. You can recreate them exactly on next gen as you can on current gen. Now look, if you are still watching, I really just want to go ahead and say thank you so much for your support. Now, when it comes down to this next build, I'm telling y'all, the animations are not going to be the main thing that's special about it, but in my opinion, it's really going to be the physicals. Now, as you can see with the actual gameplay, we're able to shoot off the dribble, move around with the ball, but also when it comes down to the defensive end, I think this build is really going to be able to hold its own in any game mode, whether that's 1v1, the 2s, or possibly even the 3s. Now, when it comes down to this build, go with the center position. I'm going to go with the body shape of builds. And then when it comes down to the height, 7'3", 238 for the weight with a 7'7" wingspan. Now, when it comes down to the physicals, max out your speed and acceleration. Go with the 70 strength. Same thing for the vertical with a 90 stamina. And now from here, we're going to be all set to get into the breakdown of the main attributes. So let's go ahead and get started with the finishing. So as you can see for the numbers, I'm going to go with an 84 close shot, 81 standing dunk, 95 post control, and right there we're going to be able to get a total of 20 finishing badges. Now when it comes down to this build, I like Pro Touch, Back Down Punisher, also Masher with Fast Twitch and Rise Up, and those are just some of my badge preferences. Now this is really just the start of what we're able to do, but I'm telling y'all, the more that we get into the breakdown, only the better this build will get. Now for the shooting, 84 for the mid-range, 85 three-pointer, 81 free throw for a total of 23 badges. Now when it comes down to this build, I'm really liking how tier 1 is looking, but the main area that I'm focused on is tier 3 for silver limitless range. Now when it comes down to the playmaking, I made this build in order to be able to dribble still. So as you can see with the playmaking and the pass accuracy, I'm going to go with the 76, 55 ball handle, and that's going to give us a total of 13 badges. Now we're still going to be able to get Clamp Breaker. We're also going to be able to get Quick First Step, and I like Unpluggable and Hall of Fame. Now this all comes down to how you see this build for yourself. Now for my own liking and playstyle, I'm going to leave the numbers like this, but I can definitely see some of you trying to raise the speed with ball, and I'm telling y'all, you can go ahead and do that, but it's not going to make any difference when it comes down to the badge count. Now furthermore, I did go ahead and leave the rest of the attributes for the defensive end. So we get a total of 22 badges. I'm going to go with an interior defense of an 80, block of an 87, 76 offensive rebound with an 85 defensive, and I'm really liking which badges that we were actually able to unlock. Now remember, if you want to make your own adjustments towards this build, you can definitely go ahead and do so. But as for the badges that I'm focused on are going to be Post Lockdown, Chase Down Artist with Rebound Chaser and Anchor, and this is really just the start of what this build can do without the takeovers. Now take into account buying your own boost, which is a +5, running with teammates that have on Hall of Fame floor general, another +4. Remember, the better you play, your stats also will gradually raise, and then the +10 from 2 takeovers. So we get the post scoring, the glass cleaning, rim protecting, as well as the sharpshooting. Now for my best interest out of this build, to get a 100+ when it comes down to the 3-point and mid-range, I would go with first limitless range. Now the second one, you can go with advanced post moves or rim protecting takeover. I'm going to leave it up to y'all, but just to be an offensive juggernaut, I'm going to pick the post scoring takeover and keep it as is. And as y'all can see, we have created the Victor Wembanyama 3-level scorer build at number 2 on NBA 2K23 Next Gen. Now this is only the second build. I went ahead and saved probably one of the best builds for last, especially when it comes down to the point guard name. So as you can see, coming up at number 3, we're going to be 6'9", just to give y'all a little hint of what this build can do. But as far as when it comes down to the potential, this is easily one of my favorite rare point guard build names. So I'm going to be real, this point guard is going to be defensive centered, and what I mean by that is that we are primarily going to be making this build focused and centered around the defense. Now I really do like the special dribble moves that we're going to be able to unlock out of this build, and as y'all can see, at number 3 we're going to be creating the Scrappy point build name. Now I did go ahead and say that this was going to be a defensive centered build, and to go with this build name, I'm telling y'all, makes it one of my favorites. Now when it comes down to the dribbling on this build, as you can see, really going to go hand in hand with the shooting. Now the offense is just as good on the defense of this build, but my favorite thing about it is definitely going to be the animations that we get, the abilities, the badges, everything that goes into this Scrappy point is definitely going to be special. Now look, I just want to say thank you to everybody who did make it this far to build number 3. And if you did, I promise you, you're definitely in store for one of the best rare builds that you can possibly make. Now we're going to be able to get 85 badges out of this build, contact dunks, but also with pro dribble moves. Now that's really just the start of what this build can do. But as far as when it comes down to the attributes, we have a good amount that are going to be able to reach a 100 plus. Now that's going to be the driving layup and dunk, mid-range and 3-point, steal, block, and both the interior and defensive rebound. Now look, the interior defense and that defensive rebound is going to be key for this build, going to allow us to not only defend any position 1 through 5, but we're going to also be able to play as a main center when it comes down to this build. Now look, if you have not done so already, I would appreciate it if y'all went ahead and subscribe to be a part of the family. Smash that like button and comment down TG for thank God and where you're tuning in from, and I will be sure to hit y'all back with a response. Now I had to go ahead and be sure that I was bringing y'all a build in between the 6'3" from the first build as well as the max height from the second, and this one's going to be perfect right in between of both of those builds, and that is why I had to go ahead and put this as build number 3. So we already have it created, and the first thing that we need to go ahead and do, make sure that you're making it out of the point guard position. Now when it comes down to the height, like I said, 6'9", 230 for the weight, 7'7" wingspan with the body shape of build. Now from here we're all set to go. When it comes down to the physicals, max out your speed and acceleration. I went with the 75 strength. Also same thing when it comes down to my vertical. And then when it comes down to the stamina, I'm going to go with the 90. And I feel like this is going to allow us to be able to take this build into any game mode starting out. Now this is really just the start, but I promise you, if you wanted to make any adjustments when it comes down to the physicals, go ahead and do so after we create the build together. Now with the defensive end, we get a total of 28 badges. And as you can see, I'm going to go with the 77 interior, 79 perimeter, 85 steal, 97 block, 76 offensive rebound with an 81 defensive. Now I really think that we have some of the best badges to pick from when it comes down to the defensive area. Now this is really just the start of what this build can do, but feel free to go about this build creation and remake it to your own liking and preference when it comes down to your play style. As for the 28 badges, a really good start. Now when it comes down to the playmaking, we get 18 here, 78 pass accuracy, 80 ball handle with a 71 speed with ball. And with these 18 badges, I'm liking ankle breaker. We also get quick first step. There's a lot of different things when it comes down to this build that we need to take into consideration. Now look, if you want to, you can definitely go ahead and make the adjustment to get more badges in certain areas. But I'm telling you right now, that may very well change the build name. So I recommend just continue to follow along. And then once we create the build exactly together, then you should be able to recreate it to your own liking. Now so far on the offense and defensive end, I think we're looking pretty solid. 79 for both the mid-range and the three-pointer. 73 free throw, 19 shooting badges, 18 playmaking with 28 defensive. It can't get much better than this, but the rest of the attributes will be left over for the finishing. That's going to be a 67 close shot, 80 driving layup, 87 driving dunk with a 61 standing. Now with these 16 badges, I'm telling y'all, take into consideration the +4 from my career, and we're going to be able to throw 4 extra badges into any area of your liking and choosing. Now, if you want to, you can go ahead and make any adjustments now, but I promise you, you definitely want to be sure to stick around to make sure that you get the build named the Scrappy Point. But as far as when it comes down to these next takeovers, that's going to play a huge factor with this build. Now, my favorite thing so far is definitely going to be the defensive area. Now look, we get the slashing, shot creating, lockdown, and rim protecting takeover. So you can go about this pretty much to your own liking and preference. I'm going to go with paint intimidation, or you can go with one of the slashing takeovers. Now the second one, I would really consider ankle breaking shots to go double offensive. Let's go ahead and check out the build to make sure that we made it correctly together. Now we should be getting these 3 comparisons, and as y'all can see, we have created none other than the Scrappy Point build in NBA 2K23 on Next Gen, and this wraps it up for the top 3 best rare game-breaking builds in NBA 2K. Now look, if it was your first time coming through, be sure to hit that sub button if you're new. Smash that like button, turn on post notifications to be a part of the family, but more so than anything, comment down CG for thank God, as well as where you're tuning in from watching today, and I most definitely will be sure to hit y'all back with a response. But with all that being said, I got one last thing to say. Rich out.